So somebody said to me, like, in a message, oh, like, yeah, we can get like a really good health plan, but you don't understand. It's like 800 to $1,000 a month Canadian. And we were talking about like really good, like biochemical medicine, um, integrative, like really quality care, you know, like ample testing and team approach, all this. And I said, you know what? I would pay that every month to get proper care because in Canada it's a socialized medical system and we don't have an option. There aren't tiers like that. It's just all or nothing. This socialized healthcare plan that doesn't serve people that are rare and complex and is very, very seriously neglectful of people. And, I know I had a comment also when I was saying Canada is no better on my video, saying like us working Canadians have to pay for your medical, you should be more grateful. And it's like, but I'm not like, um, you really don't understand that people like me barely get care. And I thought, okay, I'm getting some care, so I don't have a complete comeback for that. And I thought, where can I counter that, what this guy is saying? And I thought I hadn't responded yet because I just didn't have the energy. But I thought I thought about saying one thing that you should not be happy about, sir, if that's the thought process that you're um, at right now, is the fact that they can't help us, but they pretend that they can, and then like send us to specialists or do tests that are irrelevant to the problems that we have, aren't gonna, they're not good enough, or the throw medication at you that just treats a symptom but makes the illness so much worse, send you to a specialist, and then once you get there they go, gee, I don't know anything about your condition, sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with that, have a nice life. That happens a lot with rare and complex disease patients, Ehlers-Danlos patients, and people that have labels like myalgic encephalomyelitis and several like autoimmune, like fibromyalgia, dysautonomia, like all those kind of labels. People like that go to these specialists, and the specialists often don't even know what to do. So the time is wasted, the money is wasted. Sometimes some superficial tests are run, and it seems almost like it's for the purpose of superficiality, and that you should be mad about, sir. Like your dollars are being wasted, pretending to help us when they actually can't. And I think that's because really, like, it's supposed to be equal opportunity, but it really, like, very much isn't, and they're just not saying it. So they have to make it look somehow like they can serve everyone. And they have to. It's like a victim blaming scheme almost. It seems like, where they sort of pose help you, and not only do they pose help you, but when they do these basic mock tests, I call them mock because they're like trying to make it look like they're helping you, testing and basic stuff, and then nothing comes of it. They they jump to the psychiatric stuff, and then they label people psychosomatic and even malingering if the person is trying really hard to get help, and things like that. And that's that's abusive. Like, that's completely deceptive and victim blaming, because the actual motive behind that is because it's basically, we can't the socialized healthcare system can't financially sustain treating your illness. So we're going to make it, because we are pretending to look like we're equal opportunity, we're going to make it look like we're trying to treat you. And when we discover that what you have and the problems you have are too rare, complex, and expensive, we're going to then conclude that you're psychosomatic, and or like mentally ill in some way, or like that yes, you have some problems, but they're worse because you have severe anxiety about them and blah blah blah, and then that's the end of it, and then they case closed, they can close the file then, and they write you off. And they tried to write me off that way too, except that I got more severe, and now they're not sure what to do because I'm like obviously way more ill than they ever like expected me to become, or at least acted like they expected me to become. And it's somewhat obvious, at least somewhat to them. So yeah, that's my spiel about that. I don't want to get into my own story too much, but basically there is no actual help and nothing comes of it, and then they ultimately leave you high and dry. I mean, again, it's very wasteful and it's disheartening for the patient, and it's just the whole thing is ridiculous. So that that is, I mean, and time is money, and those tests, even though they're pointless, are still money. And it's like if only they just sort of took that and reorganized it and reallocated it, they probably could actually help people with rare disease better. And it might mean that people have to pay a bit more, even people on social assistance. And you know what? I'm on disability, and I would pay. I would pay out of my disability for a better healthcare plan. I would pay $200, $300, $400 a month, because that's what I'm spending right now, keeping myself alive. I eat, like, I only have about, depending on the day, like 5 to 12 foods that I can actually tolerate. They have to be like organic and prepared a certain way, and like this and that, and just so many things that I'm doing because my immune system problems and my gastric problems and all this other issues are not being treated. There are so many things that I don't want to list all of it right now that I'm doing, that I'm spending unnecessarily on, when I probably, if I could get adequate treatment, I'd probably be spending a lot less. My whole existence, and my husband's efforts as well, a lot of his are taken up keeping me afloat, and then making sure our boys have what they need. And that's, we can never get up from that. I would rather pay than deal with this. I would rather pay. I mean, it isn't realistic to just have a super high quality free healthcare system that serves everyone. I mean, it would be nice if it were realistic. Um, it would only be realistic if everyone was, if taxes were like super high. Like Denmark probably has the closest thing to a more adequate socialized healthcare system. And that's because their taxes are very high. But even Denmark has had their problems with rare and complex disease care. And I've heard about some of those problems. There are people in Denmark that have dysautonomia. I see people in Sweden and Norway that have, and Finland that suffer, that have dysautonomia and Ehlers-Danlos, that their countries are similar in terms of their socialized healthcare, and they run into this similar problems that Canadians do. I haven't heard as much complaints from Denmark because I think Denmark is better than Norway and Sweden, but it's not perfect either. Socialized healthcare, it's really hard to hack, for stuff like this. But I wonder if there could be an between completely capitalized healthcare and totally socialized. Like, I wonder if there could be a compromise, and then people could have the quality healthcare, because right now in the world, there's a lot of this complex chronic illness going on, and it does seem to be an epidemic to me. I don't think it's just because of my own experience and how I'm living. I actually do think could become an epidemic, and like, it's a lot to do with what's in our environment and everything, and God knows how we're going to find out what the causes are when corporations and who knows who else is trying to hide the causes, you know? It's like if they don't want us to find out the causes, then they better secretly find out and like change things behind the scenes, you know, at the very least. But I don't want to get into like Spidey conspiracy theories. I've already opened up that can of worms just now, unfortunately. But um, yeah, so in general, my point is that I think it would be good to do some kind of, I think economists need to like get together and formulate a worldwide system. There could be some kind of patented system that provided health care, and everyone had to pay an amount. And I'm talking about even the lowest income tiers. Like, I know that in Canada, working people have to pay per month, but I almost feel like if what it took was to make everyone pay, including people in the lowest income and on social assistance, um, then so be it. You know, if people on the lowest incomes possible had to pay $100 a month, that sucks. For all those people that have to do that, it puts it back in to the system, to, you know, puts it back into the pot. And that would be great if we could design a solution that wouldn't be like, not everyone would be happy, because a lot of people take the victim attitude where they just feel like they're completely entitled and don't have to pay. I don't take a victim attitude. I don't have that problem. What I have a problem with is being trapped and not having any options. Like I said again, I would pay. Every day is a fight for my survival. I'm juicing, I'm like grinding up like raw organic livers into like bone broth stew. Like, I'm being my own doctor, nurse, naturopath, dietitian. I'm my own team. My husband and I are my own keep Rosie from becoming a vegetable team, or keep Rosie from dying team. And it's just like ridiculous, because I do believe that there are better, easier treatments than that out there. And I know that there's a lot of people that say, oh, there isn't really adequate treatment for it, but there is. Like, I would far rather, like, I don't victimize myself, because I don't have family that can come in and just like do it all for me, you know. I Let's just put it this way, I was Matilda. That's who I was growing up. I was the kid whose parents were like the Wormwoods, like the movie Matilda, without the Miss Honey. There was no Miss Honey in my life to come and rescue me and adopt me. So I'm an adult child, and I don't have a nice like middle class family to go and like get out a mortgage to take me to the USA or anything like that. My husband and I work hard to keep afloat, and not everybody who's on disability are like lazy. I'm a complete cripple for real, and I still work my butt off every day as much as I can, and I'm always pushing myself. But I would rather pay $300, $400, $500 a month for a healthcare plan that would serve me better. Pay up to $900. I mean, that would be steep, but I would do it.